my YouTube friends, and welcome. In this video, I'm going to talk about the full moon that's taking place in Aquarius this year. So the date for that is Saturday, the 14th of September, 2019. It's going to happen at 12:33 a.m., so just after midnight on Saturday. And that's Eastern Daylight Time, so that's East Coast of the United States, and the Greenwich Mean Time for that is 4:33 a.m. Saturday, September 14th. So I really like these full moon videos. My whole life I've sort of been able to feel the full moon. It feels kind of intense when it comes on. A lot of people in my family will tell you the same thing, and a lot of my acupuncture patients feel it too. You know, sometimes they feel kind of off. They have more energy than usual. It's a little more difficult to sleep at night. So I like these full moon videos because it's kind of an intense, important time for me. So anyway, I'm going to stick to my usual format here. I'm going to talk about kind of the broad themes, what this full moon means to us. Then I'll get into the nitty-gritty, into the details of it. So basically, as I look at this chart here, broad themes for this full moon. We're really, all of us individually, collectively, so within our countries, our communities, our families, our workplaces, we're thinking about, what in our hearts is going to make us happy, what we really want and how we're going to get there. Because, it's easy to, dream about what you want, but you have to put it into effect and you have to make it practical. And this is something that's been going on with me. I've had a lot of kind of recent developments, a lot of exciting things going on and opportunities coming my way. And it's been about, what road do I want to go down, and what's that going to look like? So, we're doing this right now. We've got this full moon in Aquarius, and Aquarius is we the people. It's all about the collectives that we're part of, and it's all about the well-being of we the people. And directly across from Aquarius, in its opposite sign, you've got the sun in Leo with Mars. And so, Leo it's directly across the zodiac from Aquarius. So the sun illuminates the full moon. That's why the moon gets so bright when it's full. So Leo, where the sun is all about, it's about royalty, it's about authority, it's about, leadership, rulership, but it's also about the things that make you happy and how you express yourself, and the self-expression that brings joy to your life. And so not only is the sun there, but Mars is there. So the sun is, and it's within 3 degrees. Mars is within 3 degrees of the sun. So, Mars is at 23 degrees and the sun is at 26. So Mars has the lower degree. So basically Mars, the planet of action, the planet of initiative, leadership, vitality, activity, is influencing the sun and getting the sun to act. And since it's so close to the sun, Mars is what we call combust. So Mars is on fire. It has a lot of energy. So we want to make a move here, and we want to do something, and we want to do things to make ourselves happier, make our lives better. So, we'll get into more of that later, but that's where that's at. So this is what we're really thinking about. And then, some other things going on here. We have in the sign of Virgo, we have Venus and Mercury, and at the full moon point, at the full moon maximum, Venus and Mercury both at 6 degrees of Virgo. So great place for Mercury, because Virgo is Mercury's exaltation, so it's where Mercury is the strongest and most comfortable. And because Mercury rules Virgo, it's one of the signs it rules. So Mercury is very comfortable here. Mercury is all about communication, media, skills, travel, commerce to some extent, and intelligence, learning. And then Virgo is about all these things too, and Virgo especially is all about intellectual activity and sorting out the details and being very practical. It's also about being critical. In this aspect of being critical, it's not such a good place for Venus, because Venus is all about creativity, romance, friendship, diplomacy. It's about arts, performance, all that stuff. More right-brained kind of stuff. Things that make you feel good. So Venus doesn't like to sort through details and be intellectual. And Venus is about relationships too. So it's a delicate time for relationships of all kinds, not just your romantic relationships, but friends, families, neighbors, co-workers, just people you encounter out in the world. So, we have to be diplomatic and be careful, because it's not easy to be careful. And then, one of the main things we have going on, something you've heard me talking about for a long time, we have this conjunction in Aquarius this conjunction in Sagittarius of Saturn, K2, and Pluto, all very close to each other. Saturn and K2 both at 19 degrees. Pluto a little farther off at 26 degrees, but it's still a big influence because Pluto only comes around so often. It's what's considered more of a generational planet rather than a personal planet, like the visible planets. So Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are all about, events that affect us on generational levels, and, events that come around only a few hundred years. And then, and some minor things too I can get into, but big themes for this full moon. We're going to be thinking about what makes us happy, and how we're going to get there and how we're going to get that done. And we're going to be sorting out what we really want too. But the good thing is because since Mercury is in a good position, it's in Virgo, our minds are going to be more clear and our communication is going to be more clear. So awesome time to make new deals, sign contracts, do business, do networking, anything that requires communication, great time for it. But, like I said, since Venus is also in Virgo at the same degree as Mercury, make sure you're diplomatic and, don't let your emotions and your words run away from you. Don't let your actions run away from you for sure. But, it's our words we have to be extra careful with. Those slip out a lot easier. So, and another thing too, that I want to talk about, there's a lot of Venus activity, not just with this full moon, but through September. And there's been a lot of Venus activity going on, and not only is Venus in sort of this sort of debilitated, kind of weakened position in Virgo, but as we're going to get into, there are a lot of planets are in a lot of nakshatras. So these mini constellations that we use in Vedic astrology that make up the 12 signs of the zodiac. And so, if you haven't seen my videos before, or if you don't know about Vedic astrology is a lunar-based system, and it rather than a solar-based system like mainstream astrology. So we have the nakshatras. So not only do we have the 12 signs of the zodiac, but those 12 signs are made up of 27 smaller constellations called nakshatras. So these 27 constellations are working behind the scenes of the 12 signs of the zodiac. So it gets really specific and we really zoom in. So the point being, a lot of conjunctions and planetary placements are taking place in nakshatras, these mini constellations that are ruled by Venus. So point is here, there's a lot of goddess energy right now. And since Venus, the goddess, is in a weakened place, it's time for us to sort of protect, that goddess energy, that we all have feminine energy, whether you're male or female, we're all kind of half and half, masculine energy predominates in males, feminine energy predominates in females, but we're all made up of both. So we all have that, sacred feminine and sacred masculine within us. So there's also a sacred masculine. There's not just a sacred feminine, which, gets a lot of airtime in the new age. There's both. So, the sacred feminine is it's the mother of the universe, and it nurtures all, and it gives everything the energy to grow and to flourish. And in the sacred masculine, one of the things it's there to do is to basically protect the sacred feminine and make sure that it has the proper space to express itself. So, and I think this is a big deal with the the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. We're seeing in abuse of the feminine that's come out into the open. And what's been going on with the whole Jeffrey Epstein scandal is something that maybe a year ago the mainstream would call a conspiracy theory. The idea that these wealthy elite people were getting together and having these parties and trafficking and abusing young women. Now it's all out in the open. And before that, the whole Harvey Weinstein scandal, who Jeffrey Epstein was friends with, among other people. So it's come out that this goddess energy, this sacred feminine energy in the universe and in individual women has been abused. And so, as adult men, we're being called, as adult males, we're being called to step up and be men and protect that sacred feminine and give it its space to express itself. And then when we do that, the feminine gives us the energy we need to express ourselves the way we need to. We're different, but we complement each other. We're not identical, and that's an idea that kind of goes on in the world today. Especially in extremely politically correct circles, and it's like, well, yes, we are equal, but we're different because we bring different things to the table. So anyway, that's a whole topic in and of itself. So let's get into the specifics of this. So first off, I want to go to the placement of the moon. So the moon's in Aquarius, and again, Aquarius it's we the people. It's the welfare and the well-being of the people, and it's also about the organizations that we work in and that we work with. It's about our communities, our networks, our circles of friends and acquaintances. And so, it can even mean elders, your elder sibling. There's a lot of different meanings to this, but, it's about us as groups of people and our welfare and well-being is what Aquarius is about. So the moon, at the full moon, it's going to be at 26 degrees. Right next to it, at 23 degrees, within 3 degrees is Neptune. So Neptune's got the lower degrees, so Neptune is influencing the moon more than the moon is influencing Neptune. So Neptune, it's all about deceptions, illusions, delusions, self-delusions, where, we tell ourselves stories that are not necessarily true. So Neptune being so close to the moon in Aquarius, one of the meanings here is that we the people, we don't have all the information. We may have a lot of information, but it's not all accurate and good and true information. And, the media plays a big part in this. And it's been coming out lately that, the media is not what it promises to be. It doesn't deliver on what it says it does. Most media outlets in the Western world, and really in the whole world, it's owned by 6 companies. So, here in the United States, we have our First Amendment and journalism is protected, so we can get, accurate and true information. But when you have 6 companies running most of it, tell me the boards of directors, the chairman of the boards can't get together and organize and, plan how news is going to be reported. And, even when you get outlets with different biases telling different stories, you get a Fox News versus an MSNBC, they're working together. It's all theater. In politics, in ideology, we have a left wing and a right wing. Well, an eagle has a left wing and a right wing, but it has one brain. So think about that. We might have a left wing and a right wing, but they're ruled by a central brain in the middle and actually above them. So think about that. So point is, Moon and Neptune very close together in Aquarius. We the people, in our minds, the moon symbolizes the mind. So not just the intellect, but our emotions, our memories, our thoughts, the way that we react and interact with the world. Kind of your whole intangible self. That our minds don't have all the information, and our minds are not seeing things clearly, not seeing the world and its various issues and situations clearly. So we have to be mindful of this, because you can make rash decisions when you don't have the full picture. And so, the nakshatra, the mini constellation within Aquarius that this is full moon is taking place in, is called Purva Bhadrapada. It's a mouthful. So it's a constellation of spiritual awakening, enlightened teachers and gurus. It's about seeing the world and issues from all possible perspectives and angles. And it's about the betterment and improvement of society. It's about scientific understanding, philosophy, higher learning. So, our minds here are striving to do all those things. So the moon, our mind, is striving to do all those things. But Neptune is right close by, so it's being obscured. So again, in the media, it might look like, these talking heads in the media working for whatever network are, wise teachers and wise gurus, especially the experts they get in, like the retired admirals and generals who say we have to, go fight another war, which they do all the time because they're working for defense companies. In that case, they're not wise teachers and gurus. They're working for a defense company, a weapons company, trying to get some more business. So we have to be aware of these things with the media. That's just one example. Every industry does this in the news when they bring in their, unquestionable experts. So be aware, be advised. So moving on. So I just said, when we don't have all the right information, we can make impulsive and rash and uninformed decisions. So like I said, across from Aquarius, opposite side of the zodiac, we have Leo. So Leo, it's all about, it's on one hand, it's, royalty, leadership, politics, but it's also performing arts, sacred knowledge. But Leo is also, and kind of first and foremost in a lot of ways, Leo is about what makes us feel good. It's about our soul's desires, because, Leo has an affinity with our hearts. And so it's all about, what we want in our hearts that's going to bring joy to our lives. So in Leo, across from Aquarius, we have the sun, which is illuminating this full moon. But right next to the sun, 3 degrees away from it, like I said, sun is at 26 degrees, Mars is at 23. So, Mars is influencing the sun because it's at the lower degree. So Mars is combust, like I said, because it's so close to the sun. It's superheated, it's super energized. And Mars is all about taking initiative. It's about leadership. It's about taking action, vitality, energy. So, we want to do something right now to improve our lives and to bring joy into our lives and to, just build a better life and, reality and, community and world and the whole bit. But this Sun and Mars on one side, and then, the Moon and Neptune on the other side are looking directly at each other. So not only is the Moon clouded by Neptune, but it's getting this, Mars is sending all this superheated energy across, and it's basically telling our minds, yeah, okay, you need to bust a move right now. And this is all this frustration from Mars coming across. So like I said, we have to be careful because we don't have all the information. It doesn't matter what religion you belong to, what college you went to, what political party you belong to. We don't have all the information because there are things we're in denial about. There are things that we don't even know about. There is information that's being hidden from us. So, we have to really step back and, take a look at, what is really going on. So, and then, where the Sun and Mars are right now within Leo, the nakshatra, this mini constellation is called Purva Palguni. So the symbol for it is the hammock. So in a hammock, you relax. So it's all about being able to relax and just sort of take things in and enjoy your life. And, you best do this when you have, you do something creative. You do something work-wise that's creative. It doesn't mean everyone has to go out and get into fine arts and performing arts, but it's when, you realize that you're skillful at something and you do it and it pays off, and you can just sort of, kick back and enjoy the fruits of your labors. So, and more than anything, the Sun and Mars being in this mini constellation, this Purva Palguni within Leo, it's all about living life. It's all about living life the way you want to. That's going to make you the happiness. And it's like I said in the September video, one of the things in September we need to do is, eat the forbidden fruit. Whatever it is you want to go for, just go for it. Especially if the people around you, your friends, family, coworkers, neighbors, wouldn't approve of it. Wouldn't think it's a good idea. Because, if you really want something in your heart, but people are discouraging you, that can be the proof that it would be a great thing for you to do. Sometimes people's disapproval is just as important as their approval and their encouragement. Sometimes their discouragement is just as important as their encouragement, because, it tells you, that, you're doing something that, maybe they wish they could do, or maybe they're too close-minded to see that what you want is really the best thing for you, because they have a whole other idea of who you are. So be yourself and just live your life, and just, do what is in your heart that'll make your heart the happiest. So, and another thing too, I almost forgot. So, like I said, you've got Moon and Neptune with this full moon in Aquarius. On the other side, you have Sun and Mars in Leo. And these two signs and these planets and these two signs are looking at each other. So, you even have this Neptune and this Mars looking at each other. So, like I said, Neptune clouding the moon, clouding the mind, not seeing things clearly, can really make us do something impulsive. And Mars, planet of action and initiative, is just super jazzed up right now and wants to just do something. So, be careful that you're not impulsive. Really step back, make sure you have all the information. So, next, what do we have here? Just sorting through my notes. So, next we have, this is something I've been talking about for months, but it's a big deal. It's going to be with us through January. And this is this conjunction in Sagittarius. So this is Saturn, K2, and Pluto. So Saturn and K2 both at 19 degrees at the maximum of the full moon. So right on top of each other. And then Pluto at 26 degrees. So pretty close by. So, just as a refresher, Saturn is the judge, kind of the administrator of the cosmos, and really, of the, life on Earth. And big thing Saturn does is it keeps us genuine. It keeps us on our life path. When we try to do things things that are not part of our life path, things that are not genuinely part of us and what we really want deep down, when we try to do things that are good ideas, but that we don't genuinely want, those things kind of blow up in our face. They don't pan out, they never happen. So, and Saturn's all, it symbolizes setbacks and adversity and delays. So Saturn gives us delays and setbacks when we're not genuine with ourselves, and we try to, go off and, live out someone else's idea of, what the good life is, what happiness or success is. So Saturn keeps us genuine. And then K2 is the mystic of the zodiac. On a good day. On a bad day, K2 can be kind of a fundamentalist, kind of a, even a terrorist. So, and then Pluto is the god of the underworld. So makes us deal with, the underworld is your unconscious mind. It's the depths of you. It's the parts of your thoughts and emotions that we're not even aware of. And really, 85% of us is unconscious. So the god of the underworld, Pluto, makes us deal with all that stuff. So things that we didn't know about, things that we were putting off dealing with, or things that we're in denial about, or things that were hidden from us. So Pluto makes us kind of deal with the scary stuff so that we can resolve it. So, and what they're doing, Sagittarius is the sign of philosophies, higher learning, belief systems, higher knowledge. It can even be about religions. So these three planets are working together to help us restructure our belief systems and our philosophies and how we see the world, because we're slowly coming out of the age of Pisces, where things have been all about, sort of a pyramidal control system for the world. And so if you're not part of that control system, life has been all about getting in its good graces, or, ingratiating yourself to it so that you can, show that to the people around you and, be proud of it and get some perks from it. But we're moving towards this Aquarian age where it's all about kind of equality and cooperation balanced with individuality. So, nobody is really, worth more than anyone else. In the eyes of God, in the eyes of the law, all that kind of thing. And, really, I think our American system was put into place with, the coming of Aquarius in mind, where people were going to, everyone could have a voice and everyone could be equal under the law. So that's what we're moving toward. We're moving out of this age where, royals and aristocrats and, the men of the church, dominated the world. So we have to reshape our belief systems and our philosophies and our educational systems to move into this new age. So, this new age of the precession of the equinox. So, K2, this mystic of the zodiac, just doesn't want to deal with extra crap, with anything extra, with things that are outdated and don't serve us anymore. I respect tradition, but traditions have to have a point. I'm not going to follow a tradition just because, my parents and my grandparents did it. It has to have a good reason for me to follow it. It has to be practical. Saturn's all about being practical too, and it's about being true to yourself. So, if we're living in, old, outdated belief systems that will not serve us in the present or in the future, Saturn and K2 are not going to allow that to happen. And Pluto, being the god of the underworld and the unconscious, is going to show us that, what we believe, the things we believe are outdated, and we need to get with it. And our traditions need to be practical. So that's what they're doing. And, what's interesting too is that these three planets within Sagittarius are in the nakshatra, or the mini constellation called Purvashada. Purvashada is ruled by Venus. So again, we have this Venus, this goddess energy coming up again. And these three planets together in this place in Sagittarius, it's all about, Purvashada is all about victory, but it's about victory through love. And, when a lot of people hear love, they think it's kind of some airy-fairy new age thing. I'm not talking about love like you have to, be, gooey with everyone you meet and overly emotional. But what I'm talking about with love here is really empathy and, recognizing that everybody of every background, of who has any possible opinion, has value and, deserves your respect and your empathy. So it's that sort of love, I'm not talking about romantic love here. So, but to have that kind of love for people, you have to stop fearing them. So you can't fear people. If we want this victory, because the universe is giving us an opportunity to make a better world, to achieve a victory together by having this common love for everyone. But we can't fear people just because, they're Muslims or Christians, or, because they're wearing a Donald Trump hat, or, because they have an Elizabeth Warren t-shirt, or, for whatever other crazy reason, people, these things that people bicker about. We have to recognize that everyone has value. You don't have to be everyone's best friend. You don't have to cozy up to everyone, but you have to give them that basic empathy and that basic respect. So that's what it's going to take. And Venus being about, love and friendship and diplomacy, that's what it's teaching us. There's so many points of reference for this stuff. So, the purity of love is what this Purvashada is about. So purity of love will bring a victory for all of us on earth. And, purity of love and emotions. And you know, another thing, you know, Purvashada is about purity and health. It's about, you know, these days, you know, things that are pure and healthy, you know, like organic foods and pure non-contaminated foods are a luxury in and of themselves. So, you know, this constellation is not about, you know, about bling bling and, you know, opulent luxury, but it's about sort of achieving purity and, you know, purity and wholeness and health. So the lost my train of thought for a second. So, you know, this love of the goddess, you know, Venus, of this, you know, this world goddess, this universal goddess, it sustains everything and it makes everything grow. Everything in the universe that lives and grows, it needs this. It needs this nourishment of this goddess energy. So we need to embrace it. And, you know, like I said, sacred masculine protects this sacred feminine goddess energy. So, you know, and again, and also, like I said, Purvashada is about healthy. So we need to get healthy. You know, in our world, we need to get healthy emotionally and mentally and spiritually and physically too. They're all related. We need to do all of them. So, and a lot of people are embracing this all over our country and all around the world. So things are going in a positive direction, and there's still negativity that has to be dealt with. But, you know, I see it going in the direction it's going in is a net positive. But we have to be mindful, because when you're mindful, things get better. You know, when you put your intent and your focus on something, things get even better that you may have been naturally doing already. So we need to be mindful of this. And, you know, and the last point here with this, you know, Saturn, K2, and Pluto, all in this Purvashada, this mini constellation within Sagittarius. This is all about getting civilization to work together under a higher power. So, but we want to make sure we're not going for a false light with this. You know, we can't be, you know, making our higher power, you know, the Democratic Party or the Republican Party or the Vatican or the public school system or, you know, or Silicon Valley or, you know, whatever university. You know, that higher power has to be, you know, the divinity, you know, especially this goddess energy, you know, something bigger than ourselves that's universal. So, you know, think about that. I've always said to people, you know, people identify with the groups they're part of and what job they do and, you know, their religion and their politics. And I always say to people, if the earth was going to be destroyed, like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and you got off the earth somehow and you met people from other galaxies and they asked you, you know, who are you? What are you? Someone from across the universe isn't going to know what a Democrat or a Republican or a Christian or a Muslim or an American or whatever is. So you have to have this health and this purity and have, you know, civilization in the world, you know, work under the guidance of this, you know, this higher divine power. You need to be in touch with that higher divine power. And that really, in my opinion, has to be your central value. So, and I don't know, and even, you know, even for atheists, they could still have this, you know, but instead of a higher divine power, I guess it would be, you know, goodness and, you know, kindness and empathy just for the sake of it. So, you know, that's something to think about. What else do I want to talk about here? You know, and another thing too is, you know, being of service with this whole thing in Sagittarius with Saturn, K2, and Pluto. Being of service to each other. That's a form that this love can take, is, you know, we're of service to each other. So you don't have to go, you know, knocking on your neighbor's door trying to fix their lives. But, you know, when you're out in public, help people. Hold the door open. If someone falls, help them up. Help someone carry something. You know, someone drops something, pick it up for them. You know, it could be anything. There's so many ways. It's like in The Hobbit, you know, in the movie, you know, Gandalf says something like, he's talking to Galadriel and he says, you know, Saruman, Saruman, who's the head wizard, you know, thinks only great power can counterbalance evil. But, you know, I think it's the small things and the little acts of kindness, little everyday acts of kindness of regular people that keep the darkness at bay. So that's what this is about. So keep that in mind, please, because I'm part of this world, and I don't want to see it go to hell. And and there's always potential for that. One thing here, whenever you get K2 in Sagittarius, you can just get ideological and religious extremism. And K2 was in Sagittarius back in 2001 during 9/11. And so, when you get an extremist, K2, a possible extremist, K2, in the sign Sagittarius, which, is of, religion and philosophy, you can have something pretty nightmarish. So, and we're gonna get back to that point around the eclipse, and then even moving into February 2020. It's the 19th of February 2020. K2 and Rahu, so dragon's head, dragon's tail, because they're a package deal, always in opposite signs. They're going back to their placements on 9/11. So we have to make sure we're not too extreme here, because it's a thing I say. Lately, in America and the Western world, extremism is mainstream. People won't talk to each other because they're arguing about something like politics, something that really they have no control over, and is just this big media show that's portrayed and edited by the media to basically spoon feed you a conclusion, spoon feed you an opinion and a worldview. So it goes back to the moon next to Neptune in Aquarius on the full moon. When the mind's clouded, people can become extremists, because you take like suicide bombers in the Middle East. They're fed a load of bullshit, and the whole concept of God's love is really perverted, and they're fed a warped version of it. Because these guys, when they're pushing a detonator on the bomb that's either in the car they're in or strapped to their bodies, they're saying, they're working themselves up, and they're saying God is great and God is good. And it's like, well, that's not a loving God getting you to do that. And then, you take the Crusades. These guys were, Crusaders are coming into Jerusalem and just slaughtering all the residents of Jerusalem that they met, even other Christians. And they said, well, kill them all, and, God will sort them out and, take his own, claim his own. So, and the Christians were talking about God's love back then. So, things get out of hand. When people only see one perspective, they can only see their perspective, and everyone else is the enemy, or, everyone else is wrong. So be aware. If you think somebody on the other side, on the other side of an issue that takes the counterpoint in an issue from the one you do, and you think they're all crazy and extreme, step back and realize you may look the same through their eyes. So, very important right now. So, and one last thing with that, across from Saturn, K2, and Pluto, you've got Rahu and Ardra. Ardra is this mini constellation that's part of Gemini, and Ardra was where Rahu was during 9/11. So, Ardra it's the teardrop. It's the symbol is the teardrop. It's the howling winds. This Ardra, this mini constellation, is ruled by Rahu, and it's ruled by the storm god Rudra. So it's all about transformation through communication. So it's about bringing in the storm to destroy in order to create transformation, because you can't transform without destroying something. You can't get something better without destroying, the old thing, what was there before. So, like I said, communication is extreme right now. There's a lot of extreme communication in the media. So if we want to learn the hard way, we can follow all this extreme communication and all this polarized ideologue rhetoric, and something crazy and violent can happen that we have to learn from the hard way. But if we realize that the communication is extreme, we can step back and say, okay, I see what's going on here. Let's all work together and have that love let's have transformation through love and victory through love. So very important. So then we get to Venus and Mercury. Venus and Mercury at 6 degrees of Virgo. So, and the nakshatra they're in is, here's a mouthful for you, Uttara Palguni. So it's a sun-ruled nakshatra, sun-ruled mini constellation that's part of Virgo. And this nakshatra is all about getting the job done, getting the details and the logistics together, getting the job done, and making deals and signing contracts, and doing work that betters and improves the community in practical ways, and doing nitty-gritty, detail-oriented work, and making complex ideas, because Virgo is intellectual. It's intellectual activity. So it's about making complex ideas practical, that can benefit everyone, even if they don't have all the scientific and technical and philosophical knowledge. So Mercury is very comfortable in Venus. I was going to say, Virgo is a great place for Mercury, because Mercury rules Virgo, and Virgo is the sign of Mercury's exaltation. So both are about intellectual activity and communication, and precise communication, precision, and detailed orientedness. So great time to get business done, and to make deals, sign contracts, all that, any kind of communication, because communication is super clear. We had a really muddy communications this spring and summer. There were Mercury retrogrades, and Mercury in Cancer being very overly emotional and not very logical. We were seeing this all through the summer. Even in the news was full of this stuff. Now communication is getting really clear. So great time to communicate, get all that done. But the other thing here is that Venus is here in Virgo with Mercury on the same degree, on 6 degrees. Venus doesn't like being in Virgo, because again, Venus is very right brain. It's all about creativity and intuition and love and romance and friendship and diplomacy. Empathy is a big thing, that Venus symbolizes, like I said, love. So, not just romantic love, but, love for your fellow man and woman. So, when you put a planet like this, Venus, into a very intellectual and logical and detail-oriented sign, Virgo, it's not very comfortable. And Virgo can be very nitpicky and very critical. So, and nitpickiness and criticality can really ruin friendships and romances, and professional relationships, and social relationships, and it can really ruin diplomacy. So, and since you have Venus and Mercury right on top of each other, communication can be harsh, and it can be very cutting, and it can really cut to the bone, because not only can you criticize someone, but your criticism can be so true and spot on that it can really not just offend someone, but really hurt someone, to the point where they can be just kind of done with you, or you can be done with them if you're on the receiving end. So, it's a time to strive to be diplomatic, because being diplomatic is not easy right now. So when things are not easy, you have to be conscious of it. You have to be consciously competent. There's unconscious competence, there's conscious competence, there's conscious competence and conscious incompetence, and there's unconscious incompetence. So those are all different. When you're unconsciously competent, you can just kind of do something, and it's like, yeah, no problem. So that's like when Venus is in Libra. You can just get along with people, be diplomatic, and make deals, and it's like, oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, we're getting along great. Venus is in Virgo. You have to be consciously competent at communicating your emotions and your feelings and being diplomatic, because it's not easy. So, take care of your relationships, all of your relationships. your romantic relationship, your friends, family, neighbors, whatever, co-workers. You know, be precise. You know, if you need to criticize, front load it with some compliments, and then, you know, roll in the criticism, so you can sort of massage and modify that delivery. So someone says, "Oh, thanks for the compliment. Yeah, I'll be happy to accommodate you, you know, because you're not feeling good about how I did or said something." So, you know, really think about that. And then, you know, kind of some minor things here. We have, you know, Jupiter is in Scorpio. And so, you know, Scorpio is just deep feelings, underlying issues, hidden things. Jupiter's higher consciousness. So our higher consciousness is, you know, is starting to think about and process things that have been hidden from us, or things we've hidden from ourselves, or that we've denied. So, and, you know, this is all over the news. You know, talk about Jeffrey Epstein all day, but there's so many things. And what's the other one here? Oh, Uranus retrograde in Aries. So Uranus is all about radical change and doing things differently. And Aries, among other things, is about leadership. So people all around the country and around the world, you know, you look at the protests in Hong Kong, people want a different form of leadership and a different form of government that gives them more freedom. So we, you know, people all around the world want this. But since Uranus is in retrograde, there's this temptation to move backwards, where we say, you know, especially politically, it's like I always say, you know, the right wing thinks that, you know, the 1950s or World War II or the 1980s were just the best times ever. And they're always saying, you know, we need to go back to that. Or the left is always saying we need to go back to the Bill Clinton days, or the civil rights movement, or the, you know, the days of the New Deal, where FDR was, you know, basically kind of an absolute ruler, you know, who seemingly put everything in perfect order, and, you know, we need to go back to that. Well, Saturn's not going to let you do that. Saturn, Kronos, the god of time and the god of making you stick to your life path, is not going to let you go back in time to some romanticized, you know, decade that you think is perfect. So it's not going to happen. You have to move forward in time. You have to grow and evolve. We all have to do it together. So, you know, watch the temptation to, you know, get behind some political candidate who tells you that, you know, they're going to bring the good old days back. Good old days can never come back. Good days can be ahead of you. There'll be different times than what you see as the good old days. There may be commonalities there, but you just can't go back to the good old days. So remember that. And then the last thing, I've been going on for a long time, but hey, whatever. So, you know, the last thing here, you know, Rahu and Ketu, you know, when I talk about aspects, it's about, you know, houses that they look into. So, you know, Rahu's ninth aspect, it's looking 9 houses away. It's looking at the full moon. So it's looking at the moon and Mercury together in Aquarius. So Rahu is a trickster. So Rahu can do deceitful things and can do sort of illegal, underhanded things at times. But tricksters do this in order to basically to teach us lessons about our egos. They lead us into ego traps when we're being delusional and we're being, you know, lied to by, when we're letting people lie to us, manipulate us. They lead us into ego traps to show us what's really going on and, you know, how we're really acting and how we're really thinking. So Rahu is looking at this full moon. So it all goes back to the manipulation in media and the manipulation in politics. So, you know, bear this in mind, that there are people out there working to, you know, to mislead us. And I'm not talking about grand conspiracies. I'm just talking about, you know, the best way to rule, you know, millions and billions of people is to, you know, get them to see things your way, you know. And really, you know, the one conspiracy in this world that everyone can agree to is the conspiracy to make shitloads of money through unconscionable and illegal means. I mean, that just happens, you know. So bear this in mind. And then ninth aspect of Ketu is on Leo, where the Sun and Mars are. So, you know, like I said, Mars wants to bust a move and make something happen, to make our lives better, make the world better, something to bring us joy. But K2 can be extreme and just only see things one way. K2 just wants to, get to God, get to spirituality, or just cut the bullshit loose and, get to that spiritual, meaningful place. So, and then when you get K2 and Mars together, you sort of, you sort of have this knife that's cutting things away. So, don't cut anything out of your life that you really do value and that you would regret not having, or don't cut anyone out of your life that you would regret not having, if you did something rash and impulsive. So that's a mouthful. That's all I've got for you. Thanks very much for tuning in. My website is thecosmicalchemist.com. You can book a Vedic astrology reading with me so you can see how the current events, the current placements and conjunctions and alignments in the astrology is affecting you specifically, because it affects everyone differently. And Vedic astrology is basically a mind map. It's a great way to look into how you tick, how your mind and your emotions and your unconscious reactions to people and to the world are set up. And it helps you to basically hack your own thinking and change the way that you interact with the world, so you can change your life and your reality. And so, along with these readings, I build you a personalized mantra. So it's a meditation, and actually you use, one of these mala beads. You see yoga instructors with those beads around their wrists. Those are mala beads, and those are used in, Buddhist and Hindu tradition, in the old Vedic tradition for saying mantras as you meditate. So, and it's basically, this mantra is a programming language for you to get inside your head and change things. It's a system update for the operating system of your mind. I also do rune readings, and I make a mind map with the runes. Those are old Germanic, Norse symbols. It's basically a sacred, sort of a magical alphabet, and that shows you, where there are basically blockages in your thinking and in your consciousness. And I also have Qigong videos on sale for download. So Qigong is a mind-body practice that helps you to tune into your thoughts and your emotions and figure out, why you think and feel the way you do. So anyway, that website is thecosmicalchemist.com. Thanks very much for tuning in, and I'll be back with more. Have a good one.